everybody. Hello, Sterling Women ladies. We love you. We love you. And so here today, Cindy Bacino, host of Sterling Women. I'm here today with Cort Maddox, Silverline Coaching. Not only is he my business coach, but he is the annual sponsor business coach for Sterling Women. And one of the reasons why I brought Cort on, and Cort actually came on, was because one thing that I realized in all my years of attending Sterling Women was that it was really difficult for people to admit that they were struggling as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. And I'm the same as everybody else that comes to Sterling Women, right? So I know that if I struggle as a solopreneur, that everybody out there is probably struggling as well. I know that if I benefit from a business coach, that everybody else out there can benefit from business tips from a business coach. And so that's one of the reasons why I brought Cort Maddox on. And we're doing these short videos to help the people, all the attendees of Sterling Women, all of you. We love you so much. So today I wanted to cover with Cort, and I'm just going to let him talk, is where do most small businesses go wrong? And it's big, but Cort, take it away. Where do most small businesses go wrong?
Thank you, Cindy. Thanks for having me. So the best way to answer this is really breaking it out. There are multiple different ways to do this, but to break it out into two different categories. We have our solopreneur that is doing kind of everything on their own. They're not utilizing vendors for different services and having employees and things like that. And then you have your entrepreneur that has employees or hiring vendors and things like that. And so if I can address each one of those individually with what I see as the largest challenge from I don't know how many people that I've worked with over the years, but ultimately your solopreneur's largest challenge is that they're doing everything on their own. And so you ride this roller coaster of peaks and valleys of performance, because as soon as you get busy with getting the work, then all of a sudden you can't really market, and then you find a valley shortly thereafter, depending on your sales cycle and the cycle of working with people. You find a valley that means that, okay, well, now I have to go market, and then you busy, and they create the market, and then all of a sudden they get really busy again, but then they can't market, and so then they come back, and so it's just this constant roller coaster. And that's the biggest challenge. And the best way to manage that is to manage a schedule appropriately to make sure that everything gets accounted for on a weekly basis, at least a small piece of it. And what I tell people is, at least if we had 5% of our time that's focused on each element, and obviously you want that to go up at various times, but at least 5%, then at least you're getting some focus, so you're not going to create the lower valleys here. So a lot of that's managing the schedule as far as fixing that issue. Obviously, there's, mentally trying to dive into a schedule and things like that. But that's the best way to fix that. Okay. On the other side of the coin, when you have a business that is hiring, whether it be individuals or vendors to do the work, from there, you have three different personalities. The middle personality works the best, but let's talk about the outside personalities, and then you'll fully understand where the middle is. And so your first personality is the one that wants to micromanage every element of everything within the business, because this is their baby. They created it. Now all of a sudden they're entrusting it to other people. Well, that challenge is that when you're micromanaging a project, and in a lot of cases are the elements of the business that somebody, whether it be a vendor or an individual, are working on, then that's difficult. That's a difficult way to work, because then most of your time is spent explaining to the person micromanaging you versus doing the work. And therefore, a lot of people get frustrated with those type of work environments. Again, even if you're a business and you're working with another business and they're micromanaging you, then you're spending a lot of time that you've billed for in just managing their expectations instead of actually doing the work, and therefore they're disappointed with the results. And so it's a perpetuated cycle. And you do that with an individual that you've hired or with a vendor. So you have that level there. Then you have your other level that doesn't manage at all and wants to be standoffish and kind of let people do their thing, but doesn't necessarily give people a process or an environment to which they can learn what they're supposed to be doing. And so they kind of flounder. You spend a lot of money on those people because they're doing things that may not be beneficial to your business. And therefore, you end up spending money on that, but not getting the results. And eventually they go away. You may fire them. It's whether it's a business vendor or it's an individual. And then what tends to happen is that person then becomes the first person that we talked about because they've been burned before. The reality is it's a center person that manages to the right level, but gives people enough freedom and processes in order to know what they expect so that they can truly prosper in the environment.
I think that's really, it's so fascinating, right? That, nobody wants to be a micromanager, yet we can become micromanagers because we've had bad experiences. And then we kind of screw ourselves in the process both ways. So can you give the people that are listening tips on how to not micromanage and not manage at all? So what would you give? How would you, what tools would you give that person that you're hiring to do the job? Or what tools would you give the manager?
The good news is there are things that can be done on either side of the spectrum. And the main keys to that and the performance of the people that you're working with is to make sure that you've clearly defined the expectations going into it. Make sure that there's a process and a clear understanding on all sides of what you're looking to get accomplished and how you believe it can be accomplished best. Gather some feedback and understand how the other individual or company likes to work and be managed. For example, if we have somebody that it absolutely doesn't like to be micromanaged, which most of us don't, but they just want to have a pulse working relationship and they want to communicate via email, then we want to make sure that we're meeting them where they are so that we're giving them the optimal level of success. So clearly defining that in all cases, whether it be on the micromanaging side or the, hey, I'll let them do whatever they want to do and trust that they're going to do it. Again, it's defining the process and then having pulse checkpoints. And what I mean by that is that you have different benchmarks in there that you're going to check to see, are they accomplishing these benchmarks? Are they doing and following the process that I've set out? If the answer is yes, then great, things are working as they should. If the answer is no to either one of those questions, then there needs to be some sort of a discussion. In most cases, the best way to do that is to have a monthly benchmark to where you're addressing it and saying, okay, well, we're going to get into this working environment, whatever that may be, vendor or individual, and we're going to touch base on a monthly basis at the very least, as far as where we're at for our benchmarks. And based on where you are, you're going to then have a discussion about what that looks like.
Okay, so hold on, because that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot. So first, we're going to have expectations. We're going to have procedures, right? We're going to have accountability via a monthly meeting of sorts, right? And I know you love the Trello board. Are there any other tools that you can recommend besides Trello to help with the expectations, the procedures, the structures, and the checking in?
The best system is the system that you're used to working with. And so no matter what that is, as long as it has the ability to document where you both can see it and work together on it, is the best system. I use Trello, it works out really well. But if somebody is familiar with another system software, there are tons of them out there, but another software that's out there, then use that and communicate as a team together and just make sure that everything is clearly defined.
Great. So thank you, Cort Maddox. That was a lot. It was awesome. Where do most small businesses go wrong? We have two different ones that we were talking about, the solopreneur and then the person who is hiring other people and vendors to do the work. And I think you made it, really clear. So that is really awesome. So thank you very much, Cort Maddox, for joining us today and helping all of the women from Sterling Women be more successful in their business ventures. And again, my name is Cindy Bettino, host of Sterling Women. Thank you, Cort.
Thank you.